This week, I'm heading out here through one of my favourite parts of London. In fact, actually, look, I'm going to stop my introduction because there's a location here someone asked me to feature in a video. It isn't a video, but it's a video I shot at night, so I think you should see it at daytime. It's a great location. It's behind me. Who knows what it is? I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, probably a bit more than 3. So this is the infamous Kingsway Tram Tunnel here at Holborn. And it was the tunnel that linked Angel to Aldwych, and it was built after the Holborn slums were cleared, and they took the opportunity to put a tram line through Holborn. It opened in 1906 and closed in 1952 on the tragic day that the trams were withdrawn from service in London. It's said to be deeply, deeply haunted. I think there might even be a tribe of troglodytes living in the Kingsway Tram Tunnel. Or I may have just made that up. I will be beyond shock if either the brilliant Jeff Marshall or Jago Hazard haven't done a dedicated video on the Kingsway Tram Tunnel, full of detail and the kind of thing that I often neglect in my videos. The Kingsway Tram Tunnel does actually feature in a Halloween video shot in 2021. But it was at night time, and I was sort of talking about the ghostly aspects of it, but I thought I'd just show that in daylight, just because I read that comment about 3 days ago. I'd like to respond to your comments. I'm going to walk up, I'm walking up Southampton Row here, which is one of my favourite streets in London. I must have mentioned that several times before. It's the street I would walk up, Kingsway and Southampton Row, when I was living in Australia in the 90s, and if I ever got homesick for London, I would imagine walking up here, I'd do it in my mind. And today, I'm really actually basing this walk on a singular location that I've never been to, which I can't believe I've never been to, because it is one of my favourite fictional locations in London. And this is the place that it was used for. Can you guess what it is? We're walking through Bloomsbury, bit of a giveaway. I know that several of you will already be smashing that answer in the comments below. I think these are fake windows, or windows that were filled in due to the window tax. That could be wrong, but it's got that vibe about it, hasn't it? I see a little bit of it around this area. And of course, Bloomsbury is one of London's many tourist areas, a centre of sort of good quality but budget hotels. I'm saying that, I've never slept in any of them, but I had breakfast in one of them once. It seemed nice. And this is another of my favourite little streets. And I covered this area here in Queen's Square in a video I shot last year. It was last summer, so I will link to that below. Wow, it's noisy here, right? The weather the last few days has been genuinely awful in London, and I have a feeling that the heavens might be about to open, so I might go directly to this special location. And there's Russell Square over there, which is featured in the previous Bloomsbury video that I mentioned, and that will be linked to below. I don't want to duplicate the content, I hope you understand. And of course, the other thing that Bloomsbury is famous for is the universities here. Well, it's University College London, and the various colleges of UCL are sort of around Bloomsbury. A lot of them are anyway. You've got the Institute of Education, the School of Oriental and African Studies, Birkbeck College, University College itself. What's the other one? Various schools, the schools of tropical medicine. It's wonderful, it's a beautiful, I love this area, but we're going somewhere else. And looking down Guildford Street towards Corham's Fields and Lamb's Conduit Street and all of that, that is in a different video, again linked to below, sort of piecing together the little bits. Tavistock Square just over the road there. I feel like we should go in because I feel like it might have been in the previous video, but I feel like I might have missed out an important thing. So Tavistock Square was built on the site where Charles Dickens lived between 1851 and 1860. And he wrote some of his greatest works here. He wrote part of A Tale of Two Cities, but he wrote Little Dorrit here, Hard Times and Bleak House. That area was demolished to make way for the square. Later on, Virginia Woolf also lived on Tavistock Square. I think I'll put the dates here, I think it's the 1930s. She wrote a room of one's own here, I can never say that, a room of one's own, To the Lighthouse, Mrs. Dalloway, and possibly another one. So it's obviously an area, Bloomsbury is an area of significant literary associations, but those two great authors produced those works here, which is amazing, isn't it? And in the centre of Tavistock Square, we have this quite majestic statue to Mahatma Gandhi, the great Indian campaigner. I was going to say leader, I don't think he ever was really a leader as such, was he? Well, if you look into his autobiography, he was quite a complex character, wasn't he? And just out there on Woburn Place, near the British Medical Association, in 2005, that was the scene of one of the devastating bomb attacks on London on the 7th of July 2005. I think this was a bomb that was on a bus, and a number of people died and were injured there. It was a very dark day in London's history. And this tree here, it says, was planted in memory of the victims of Hiroshima by the worshipful Mayor of Camden Council, Millie Miller JP, in 1967. But this isn't the special location. It's just on the way to the special location. That is over the road. We're not far away from it now. By the looks of the sky, I don't know how much more of this walk we'll get in, but this, that's the focus, that place. That's what this is all about, the place over here. This is the British Medical Association. And on the BMA building is where you have the plaque to Charles Dickens. A blue plaque here to Otto Schiff, who was the founder and director of the Jewish Refugees Committee, which was based here between 1933 and 1939. Wow. So we're going to go down Tavistock Place, and that's going to take us to our special location in the next street. I know 10% of you have already worked out what it is. The other 90% of you are slightly bemused and hopefully intrigued. I've always really loved this building here, Mary Ward House. And there's a hall in it. I've never been inside. I think it probably was built for educational purposes. I imagine it still is used for that as well. Isn't it beautiful? Lovely bit of Art Deco. Or is it Art Nouveau? I can never remember. Vladimir Ilyich Lenin lived in that building over there in 1908. Of course, the early version of the Bolshevik Party used to meet in a pub not far away from here on King's Cross Road. I think they had another pub as well in this area where they used to hold meetings. And Lenin also lived in Percy Circus, which is where they used to publish their newspaper. Percy Circus in Islington, by the way, which is in another video.
What for all, sir?
London became the home to a lot of kind of dissenters and radicals and revolutionaries and future statespeople as well, who were in exile waiting to take power in their countries. Among them, actually, someone sent me a wonderful message on Instagram about their great-grandfather, or great-great-grandfather, I'm not sure, who had a shop in Little Italy, in Clerkenwell, and they were well known for hiding Garibaldi when he was in London and he hid out in Baldwin's Gardens, which of course was a notorious kind of den of iniquity, a slum really. So you were pretty safe there because the, the police and the authorities were never going to go into Baldwin's Gardens. We're going to cross Judd Street, Marchmont Street, Judd Street Books over there, which I love. Again, I'm pretty sure that must be in at least one video. We're very close now to our special location. Should we just get a shot of Judd Books before we go there? I feel like we should. I want to delay it. I want to tease it out a bit longer. And Judd Books over there. It's one of the finest bookshops in London. A great, great bookshop. I love it. I haven't been in there actually for a little while. It's a bit of foreshadowing of the special location, of the basically the reason for this walk. The thing that drove me away from my desk out here on a Sunday evening is just around the corner. And the Lord John Russell pub over there in Marchmont Street, that's a really good pub, really, really good pub. I haven't been there for ages. I remember going in there one night with Andrew Cotting after a screening of one of his films at the Brunswick, now Curzon Bloomsbury. And as I've mentioned, the wonderful, brilliant, amazing Andrew Cotting, by the time you watch this video, the Blu-ray edition of Gallivant will be available, published by the BFI. And that is the film that starts it for me. So it makes you go out and pick up a Super 8 camera and start making film. See it in 1997 in the Sydney Film Festival. I've told this story a few times. And most importantly, I told that whole story in a video that is on the extras of that Blu-ray. It's here, the walk I did with Andrew, the journey we did around St Leonard's on Sea, we go to Bexhill on Sea, the start of the film Gallivant to celebrate the 25th anniversary of that film. But one of my favourite all-time videos, one of my favourite all-time experiences, and it means, you can't imagine what it means to me. That's the film that started it all for me, got me to go and pick up a camera, and now a film I made about that is on the Blu-ray of that film, published by the brilliant British Film Institute. So lots of amazing, it's almost too much for me to kind of process and narrate, but yeah, so if you're interested, go and get the Blu-ray of that amazing film. Right, it's just here. This is Leigh Street, and I've just actually spotted another location. Oh, I can't believe it. That's lucky. I'll check in on this other location before we do the impetus of the walk. Now the Norfolk Arms over there, I think that's the pub where Kenneth Williams' mum used to drink. Now you might think that's an obscure reference. Kenneth Williams, the great, great comedic actor, the carry-on actor, but he was much more than that. A good friend of Joe Orton, quite a troubled character. There's a brilliant Michael Sheen biopic about him on the BBC iPlayer that I strongly urge you watching. But there's also an amazing video here on YouTube of him walking around Bloomsbury showing his world, and he goes in, I'm pretty sure it's the Norfolk, he goes in and they sing at the piano, and this is Kenneth Williams' world here. I think his dad had a Barber's on Marchmont Street and they lived above that Barber's, and this is his world. But that particular pub is where his mum used to go and drink her gin and lemon. And here it is. This was the exterior location for Black Books, the location of the actual bookshop in Black Books, Bernard Black's bookshop. That is one of the great all-time British sitcoms, in my opinion. Dylan Moran, Bill Bailey. It's just, I love it so much. I used to watch that late at night after the kids had gone to bed, and it is just superb. If you love books, you love London, and you just love comedy, you will, if you haven't watched it, watch it. If you have watched it, maybe now's a good time to watch it again. They use a different address in the series, of course, a fictional address. And I was told, actually, that the whole spirit of that bookshop, and Bernard Black himself, it was based on Walden Books in Camden, and I featured that in a previous video. But this is actually the location that they used here. I've never been here before. Never been here. I probably walked past here and not realised, and I saw it today, randomly. So, yeah, that was the thing that drove me out here tonight. That's the thing I wanted to come and have a look at and make a video about, just that. Everything else has just been on the way here. I think that's the video. That's it for me. It's a bit much shorter one than usual, but I feel like my journey is complete. My quest is complete. I'm so happy. I think the thing that's tipped the scales was seeing the Norfolk Arms over there and remembering that from the Kenneth Williams. Is it in the biopic? I'm not sure, but I watched the interviews with him and he talked about his mum going in there, because his mum, I should say as well, is that he was very close to his mother. She was a very important person in his life. Wow. That's amazing. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for joining me on that brief stroll through a little portion of Bloomsbury. Check out the links below with videos covering basically the rest of the area around here pretty much. So yeah, I'm tempted to go in the Norfolk now for a pint. I wasn't going to drink this evening. I had a couple last night, but I feel like I kind of have to. It's weird, isn't it? I suppose I could just drink 0% beer. Can I do that? Would you still watch me if I drank a pint of 0% beer? Not sure. Anyway, I'll see you on the next walk, wherever that may be. This is amazing. I love that I've been here. It's Brixton Pale Ale. I can't drink 0% beer on a Sunday night.